I'm at the Food and Beverage Innovation Forum speaking with Imad Farhat, who is the Global Vice President of Taste for Firmenich. Imad, could you just tell me how Firmenich is working with its customers to help reduce the sugar content in their food products, food and drink products?
Sure. So Firmenich has started this journey on sugar reduction, probably one of the earliest companies to get involved in this. From around 2005, we were already very active in sugar reduction before the pressure that happened today. And we worked with our clients with probably, I would say, 3 guiding principles. The first one is we bring true innovation. So we brought some of the most innovative ingredients that came into this area of taste modulation. And these ingredients, some of them were discovered through Firmenich, some were part of an open innovation collaboration or working with other companies. The second part really is jointly building the solution. So the way we work with our clients, we don't make a product and ship it to them and then they put it into their beverage and see if it works and come back to us. We often work together. We sit around the same lab. We try to understand where they're going and make sure that we're not over or under interpreting where they want to do. And we do it together because often our clients have amazing expertise in their own product, while our flavors have expertise in how they build flavors, and the best way is to put them at the same time to work on this. And I would say the third important one, which is really also been something that we stuck to from the beginning, is this idea that we work in a framework of making healthier taste great. So early on, if working on a project that seems to be the end product is going to be less healthy or less nutritious than it was before, we tend to guide our clients to the right place because we do strongly believe that healthier doesn't mean compromising on taste or cost. And that relationship, we do it in a very partnership way, rather than we're not there to sort of being evangelist of what things should be done. But we think there is always a better way of doing things. So these are the 3 things I would say, innovation, co-creation together, and a common purpose of trying to do the right thing.
Sure. So going back to the partnerships and the collaborations, last year you signed a deal with Chinese natural sweeteners producer Lane. What do you aim to achieve from this partnership, and how will it let you grow?
Sure. So Lane is a company that is a multifaceted company because they're really a natural extraction expert company. And that is sweeteners, but they also have ingredients that act as what we would call taste modulators. So they improve in terms of masking or improving the perception of a food without affecting its actual sweetness. But they do also a lot of functional extract, nutritional functional extracts. So we did this relationship with them because they brought to us something that we needed, and that is a full backward integration into some of the key ingredients for us, and sweeteners were the key one and taste modulators were the other one. And so they're working. They have expertise in the agronomy, they expertise working with the farmers, they do develop seedlings, new variants of seedlings, and they have an impressive and state-of-the-art extraction capacity and technology. We bring to them the complementary part, the idea that we take ingredients from Lane and we build them into solutions, into complete solutions that will bring the sweetness, the mouthfeel, the body, the aroma, everything, and that's really our forte. But we also bring to them the client relationships. We're physically present in 60 countries. We are core-listed by the largest food companies in the world. We have marketing and sales in most of the large, in all the large markets. We have innovation hubs across the world, and that's something that is difficult for some companies to put, because typically as natural sweetener company, you're talking about a factor of 10 or 20 smaller in revenues than a typical flavor company. So the amount of investment cannot be at the same scale. So that's really what was complementarity. And the other thing, the thread that we cut across, is that we found that Lane and us had the same values in terms of sustainability, social responsibility to the farmers that are planting the things that we need to get the extracts from, the workers in the factory, but also developing ingredients that are only active in working or being used in industries we want to play in.
Okay.
And the other part which we really liked was our relationship with Lane. There is a lot of similarities in that Firmenich is a family company. Lane was set up, we met the founder, we met the chairman is the son of the founder. The company is publicly traded, but it comes from a family heritage in a well-defined identity. So that's really what this. And so this alliance is now creating the largest natural sweetness, so sweetness through flavors or sweeteners. This alliance is now the largest natural sweetness partnership in the world.
Are there any things you can bring from working in China to other countries, to other markets? And are there any challenges that you've had to overcome while working in China that you didn't perhaps expect in terms of flavors that are popular or demands from consumers?
Sure. I'd say for me personally, the biggest learning I had, because I spent a lot of time in China, was China is a market where truly the word can do really is embedded. You see entrepreneurs, jumping into opportunities and realizing them in a way that you and me might sit and watch for a long time before we make that decision.
Yeah.
The second part is the pace, the speed of the things, how things need to be happening in China. This has benefited us a lot because it allowed us to see that it is possible to go that fast and be successful, and therefore why not do it everywhere in the world? Yeah. In terms of I would say the experiences the other way around. When I came first to China, a lot of the data that we had from other parts of the world suggested that a certain assumptions about taste. So, for example, suggested that this is how sweetness is perceived, this is how bitterness is perceived, sweetness drives preference, etc. A lot of these actually don't work in China. Yeah. So the technologies that we developed for sugar reduction elsewhere don't necessarily work in China, and sweetness does not always drive preference in China. And bitterness, there's a higher detection threshold of bitterness in a Chinese consumer than somewhere else. So China taught us, and it's been very beneficial to us, is to not develop one size fits all. And now we took that into an area of science, essentially. How does taste perception vary across culture, across ages, and also across consumption occasions? Your perception of sweetness will vary if you're having that sweetness in your drink in breakfast, where you're still starting your day, versus if it's a drink that you're having while you are, having a social event in the evening. So China taught us to think much more broadly about taste perception, and that's been extremely beneficial for us. That's why I said in my talk, what we've learned, we know a lot about taste, but we know a lot about where mistakes can be done, because we've done a lot of these mistakes and we learned from them.
Sure.
Yeah.
And one final question, going forward in the next sort of 5 or 10 years, what flavour trends or taste trends do you expect to see, or what are you working on that's perhaps new or something different to before?
I would say in the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to see a trend where, today if I take the example of beverage and come back to the sweetness space, today there is no great tasting, 0-calorie, naturally sweetened beverage. You will find small exception in some categories, could be tea, but to make that 0-calorie, all naturally sweetened, it is perceived as the holy grail. We think we're not too far from it,
Mm-hmm.
And it is not about just mix and have a look and see if it's going to work. You need to understand the science of perception. You need to understand what drives preference. I think it's going to be the holy grail. One day, I don't think we're going to take sugar, make it redundant, but naturally sweetened beverages need to become the mainstream. You know, and that's going to be a big thing. The other part is really leveraging the aromatic component of the flavor to drive the healthy agenda, because aromas give great cues to consumers, and aromas often allow you to rely less on things that probably you rely too much on. You know, we rely too much on salt, on sugar, on MSG, and often because that was a shortcut to a great taste. But we think there is another way, and this way is to understand the taste and the aroma and the interaction between them, but also the consumer, that, you know, consumers, depending on their, you know, one of the example I gave is how our taste perception evolves as we get older. And so that, I think, is going to be the trend, is people, is not customization per se, but really understanding and designing solutions for a given product that will be consumed in a given occasion. That is really going to be what the product is, how it's positioned, what the flavor is, and not always go to revert to the classical, which is add 10% sugar, add 0.5% salt, or add a touch of MSG, and it's always going to work fine.
Okay, well, we look forward to finding out more. Imad, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.